We got Head Coach Frank Martin. I'll let Coach start with the opening statement, and then please raise your hand to ask a question.
Yeah, really, like I've been speaking about publicly, these guys are fun to be around. They play really hard. They play together. They play for each other. I thought the old guys today did an unbelievable job of creating a defensive presence, which is something that it's the way I want to build this program, plain and simple. There's guys that are committed to defending and committed to defending together, not just individually. Those guys did a great job setting the tone. I kind of threw too many freshmen in there at the same time early in the game. That wasn't fair to them. I've got to do a better job there. But then the game settled down, and I thought defensively we were really good till the last 6 minutes or so. Then we got sloppy. We got driven, didn't help, went to the zone, gave up open threes, and so I wasn't happy with how we finished the game defensively. But at the end of the day, here's something. And I don't mean to go off on a tangent, but it's the moment that we're in, which is sad. Like the way that game was going today, the whatever you call that, not the RPI, what's that thing called now?
Net.
The net. Yeah, that means that I should have kept the pedal to the metal and try and beat them by 45. That makes our number look better, and that's not what this business is about. It's and I'm not going to do that. It's not my place. I don't believe in that, and I think it's a crying shame that that's part of the environment that we've created to determine who's a good team and who's not a good team. But I'm really proud of the guys. First game out, a lot of jitters, a lot of freshmen. They were so wound up, they couldn't settle down. But real proud of the guys.
Garrett, front right here.
Coach, starting 5, 12-0 run to start the game. I think the under 8 timeout was plus 22 as a unit. What did you see from them, and how did that kind of help settle some of the nerves for maybe some of those freshmen that you're talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. It's those guys. You guys are going to learn this about me. Obviously, I would hope I told you the truth last year, and you're going to learn this about me. Guys that figure out a way to stick with me get better. And they get better because we try to preach really hard, and we surround them by people, not just me, our academic folks, administrative assistants, all kinds of folks that are unbelievably positive and helpful in their journey. So they learn to get better. They work at it. Rasul, Keon, Matt, those guys are better players. They're in a much better space than they were a year ago. Like Matt in the first half, I think he had 2 points, but he was plus 26 or something. And I'm not a big plus-minus guy, but that's a guy that's impacting the game in a positive way. And it's because at the end of the day, it's about winning, and those guys created that personality. I just told Josh Cohen after the game, I said, Josh, if somebody had told you that I was going to have you guarding ball screens on the half-court line and denying and coming up with steals 45 feet away from the basket, there's no way you would have convinced anybody that that was going to happen. I said, you're doing it, so keep working at it. It's a big part of what we're trying to do.
Hey, Joe.
How close is that to your, ideal start to you?
It's my biggest struggle as a coach is that I don't enjoy wins as much as I should, because I'm always so worked up because there's another practice and another game. It's my biggest struggle. That's my challenge. I don't expect other people to be like me. I don't try to be like other people. I try to learn. I'm much better at that now than I used to be. But like tonight, we played really well for a first game out for a team that's got basically everyone new, and Daniel Sanford has had 2 practices since the summer, 2. And he's got no idea what he's doing out there, none, on offense or defense. He's just playing on instincts and whatever he can decipher from whatever someone's yelling at him as to where he belongs. But I'm going to go home and I'm going to lay there and stare at the ceiling till 4:30 in the morning. It's just the way I'm wired. I can't, and I don't say that for anyone to feel bad for me. It's the way I'm wired, because I'm going to replay the whole game in my head and the decisions I made But you can't be any good if there's not something you stand for. And you can't wait to game 4 to show what you stand for. We play really hard. We defended, and we played really fast offensively. We got lazy there. I slowed the game down, too. But, I was just trying to get to the finish line because we're down some bodies right now, and we don't need an injury in a bad situation, that kind of deal. But it's game 1. I'm really proud of the guys. The problem with the way I'm wired is that I'm already worried about whoever we play on Monday. And away we go. I told Calipari, he called me last year, whining and complaining. Hey, he's a Kentucky, and he's whining and complaining. Frank, blah, blah, blah. I said, Cal, you remember what you used to do before you got into college coaching? He said, yeah. I said, well, now you're in a business where you're miserable 30 days a year. So enjoy it. He's like, that's the best advice anyone's ever given me. I said, I wish somebody would give me the advice because I can't figure that out. Sorry for the long answer.
No, that's perfect. Thank you, Coach.
Going back to Josh Cohen, led the team with 22 points tonight. What did you see from him tonight, and what's he going to bring to this team on and off the court throughout the season?
Yeah, when the ball gets to his hands, good things happen. And we have him practice running plays to get him the ball. You saw in the second half what he's really good at. When he gets his back to the basket, he's got great feel, great pace, knows when to pass, knows when to score. And he's got an unorthodox way of shooting a really soft ball that goes in most of the time. We've worked really hard with him at learning how to play away from the basket. And, he shot some threes today. I'm happy. He's worked at it. I think he made 2. Is that what you told me, Sam? But even he had an assist to Matt Cross. Josh Cohen's never been an assist guy. Look at his career stats. He's used to giving other people assists. But we're trying to get him to understand how to be more of a facilitator because he's so smart, has really good feel. So, that him and Matt have a great synergy going with them on the floor. They play off each other tremendously. Now the next step with Josh is when he's facing or even with his back, trusting those guys on the perimeter for inside-out threes. He'll get there. He cares. He's got a great spirit.
Congrats on the win, first off.
Thank you.
Daniel, you've mentioned he just came off only 2 practices, but he seemed to have a great feel for the game, kind of played in really well. Can you talk about what his impact has been and what you see from him going forward and how he contributes to the overall identity of this team?
Yeah, I'm a big. That's why I've signed him twice. I'm a big fan of Daniel. He's got great spirit. He's got a bubbly personality. He's really smart. He's 240 pounds, strong as an ox, and he's basically going through a freshman year all over again. I wasn't going to let him play if he didn't pass a conditioning test, and he hasn't run because he had a stress fracture in his foot. He figured out a way to pass it. He was throwing up between sprints, going over there, dry heaving into the garbage can, but he made his times. I'm really happy for him because he's a really, really good guy, great family. His brothers drove up from Charlotte today to come see him play. So I'm really happy for Daniel. He's going to be a good player for us. I'm not into putting the cart in front of the horse, but as he starts to figure out what we're doing, he's going to be really good for us.
We talked a lot in the preseason about Keon and his development now in his second year. I thought he was tremendous tonight, poised, didn't turn the ball over. I guess what you see from him that really stood out to you?
That's why I coach. I don't coach for people to talk about how many wins I got or that I coached at a Final Four in front of 78,000 people. I don't coach for that. I never have, never will. I coach to see kids like Keon. It's Keon. I don't like to share private stuff about individuals publicly, but I will say this. He stood his ground and said, I'm not going anywhere. I belong here. Could have left. You don't lose your last game of the season by 40 without there being some kind of dysfunction in your locker room, okay? And he said, no, Frank's my guy, and I came here to help. And that's what he did. Rasul, Matt Cross. That's what those guys have done. That's why I coach, man. To watch young people grow. That's what drove me into coaching, and that's what kept me in coaching. You know, I'm sure he's going to drive me nuts. As you can see, I didn't yell at him too much today.
Yeah, I was also going to ask about Keon, but the backcourt in general took care of the ball really well. I think 5 turnovers in the game, and then not just winning the turnover battle, but finishing at the rim as well. So how do you think both Keon and Rasul handled the game?
Yeah, I thought they were great. Albany is really aggressive defensively. And we took some bad shots, which bad shots are like turnovers. So we didn't actually throw it to them, but we took some bad shots. Those two guys you're talking about did a really good job with making sure we took good shots. Rasul got sped up a little bit. You understand what I mean by that? Like their aggressiveness on the perimeter got him trying to play differently than he's practiced. And he started trying to drive and play off 1 foot. He's worked too hard to do that. But he's in him and Keon, man, they're in a great space mentally. They're connected to me. They're connected to our team. They help their teammates. And they're aggressive as heck. I mean, I don't know if you saw that play Keon made. It's a 30-point game. And he went head first into the sidelines going after a loose ball, created a dunk, I think, for somebody. And it was all him. That's the kind of energy that he brings every day. I know his teammates respect the heck out of him.
Kaylee, and then last one on the back.
Coach, what have you really been looking forward to kind of having both Josh and Daniel available, as well as how are you really going to have that duo kind of play together or be useful going forward in the season? Yeah,
I mean, Matt Cross was our small forward all of last year. And now you start talking about Josh, Daniel, and Matt. You're talking about 3 guys who are all in the 240 to 250 range, and they're men. They're like Josh kind of doesn't look physically the same way Matt and Daniel look. Josh is strong. Like he puts his butt on you. It's hard to move him. Then Daniel and Matt are both 240 pounds, and they go in that weight room. They're strong in there. Their legs are strong. Their shoulders are strong. It's, and that's the objective going forward. I got to they got to figure out what I need from them so I can play all 3 guys together. Now that gives us, I spent, let me see, 4 years. I'm getting so old I can't count anymore. So I've been in high major basketball for I don't know, 6 at K-State, 2 at Cincinnati. That's 8 and 10, 18 years. Those 3 guys, those are high major basketball players. Their strength, their abilities, their size, they're high major players. So we got to learn how to utilize all 3 guys in there, and they're strong and they're good.
And last one.
Coach, this is something you've talked about last year. It's something I've asked you about leadership. You talked about the 3 of the returners setting the tone defensively. Have they sort of continued to develop that, not even defensively, but it's just as leaders in the locker room, in practice in general? Have they really showed up in the court? Do you feel like that's something that they've developed and are going to continue to develop this season?
Yeah, they've been great. And Josh Cohen, Josh has revamped the whole building. He's got an incredible spirit. He's got a positivity and enthusiasm for people, as most of our first-year guys do. But Josh is the most comfortable showing that every day. And because of him and then the 3 guys that we've been talking about, it's allowed all those first-year guys to be in a safer space as far as growth and understanding. But now here's the truth of the matter. I'm happy today. It's the first game we play. Now, as we start moving forward, now we start dealing with reality because we're no longer practicing and playing behind closed curtains. Now it's in front of the world to see. And now playing time gets distributed, and I make game decisions, and I spend a lot of time talking to players all the time about, don't make me the enemy. I've got one objective as soon as we show up for game day: make decisions to help us win today. And sometimes those decisions don't go the way individuals want. And how are we going to handle those things? How do we handle leadership when things don't go our way? There's a lot of unknown, but to get us to today, those guys have been tremendous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congrats on the
Thank you,
win.
Coach.
Appreciate it.
Always
Thank you, Coach. Have a good night.
here for you guys.